Hey guys, welcome back to week 12 of NFL action, kicking off your Thursday afternoon with some franchise tagged action. I have a lot of stuff, we have a lot of stuff to get through. Apologies. And that'll start
I
off
think
with
you're a
us
one-man show here.
running, it'll start off with us running through our pick'ems and then getting into a lot of the NFL news and occurrences over this past week because there was just a lot of stuff that happened in every slate of games. But just to kick things off in Pick'ems this past week, I went 9-5, making my overall record 96-68. My lock of the week also hit, making my lock record 9-2.
This week I went 10-4, bringing my grand total to 104 to 60 for my win-loss. My lock hit, and it brings my lock rate to 8-3.
Yeah, let's get into the news. It was started off Thursday night, and we've throughout the
Oh,
season we've had just endless bad Thursday night games. Week 1 was a good game, and I
mm-hmm.
think everyone since then has been atrocious. And we were real
Mm-hmm.
excited going into this one. We were like, yeah,
We're primed. Yep,
Bengals
primed for a
Ravens,
good one.
great teams, divisional matchup, great quarterbacks. Just really excited for a good game. And then Mark Andrews out for a considerable amount of time. Likely the season might pop back in at the end of the playoffs if they make it far. Lamar Jackson had some smaller injuries, minor stuff, but
Yeah,
was
came out
definitely
from.
slowed down and not as explosive on his runs. He couldn't hit his cuts and everything like that. And then
Mm,
obviously Joe Burrow, who was seen with the wrist brace on when he was coming off the
yeah.
the plane, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was like, "I wonder if this is something to watch. I wonder if this is important." And then it ended up being kind of important, where
Yeah.
he tore a ligament in his wrist and he's done for the year. So, and that
Yeah,
was
that
just Thursday
sucks
night.
when you just say how like sad he got.
Hmm.
Like on the sideline, he like just noodle arms it, and he's like just falls to the ground. Like
Yeah,
dang.
and
Uh,
that's I mean that's just Thursday night. There were
hmm
other injuries during the game. I know OBJ went down with a shoulder, and some of the
Didn't return,
defensive
I don't think.
players had some smaller injuries as well. I think nothing
Hmm.
too massive, but there were a lot of injuries that game. We'll get into the hip drop tackling later that we've seen in not just the NFL this week, but also in college football. We saw Jordan Travis go down and break his leg in two places or whatever he did, and that was from a hip drop as well. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Then on to Sunday. Sunday morning, we had Joey Bosa get carted off the field. But good news there. Initial x rays were negative, and it's likely that he just sprained his foot. I think that was confirmed now. But even if it wasn't, good indications. Cooper Cup has a low ankle sprain, better than a high ankle sprain. I think that's a day to day injury, not so much like a few weeks out. And then the Devon Achane situation where he was on IR with the knee injury and he re-aggravated that. They're kind of being cautious about it, but he might be able to go. He might not. He's not definitely out, but he's not definitely playing. Just some caution there. And then Taylor Rapp went down with a scary injury in the Bills game where he just collapsed and
Oh
everybody
yeah.
was freaking out. Cameras panned to Damar Hamlin and everybody was just like, "Man, not again, not again with the
Hmm.
Bills." And luckily this time all the tests were negative and he checked out fine. So just a scary injury that really wasn't anything. Probably probably a stinger. It looked like more of a neck injury than anything, and those can be really scary. But at least everything was negative. He's good. Aaron Jones hyperextended his knee and avoided a torn ACL. Talanoa Hufunga did not avoid a torn ACL, and he did
Hmm.
suffer a
Yeah.
season-ending injury there. And then if you want to get into some stuff here, because I feel like I'm the only one talking.
Yeah. A quick update on the Aaron Jones injury is that it's an MCL sprain, so it's going to be week to week. But obviously, he's not going to be playing this Thanksgiving game, which is coming up. Actually, this video won't even be out by the time the game started. Uh,
I'll have it out. I'll
well,
have it
we'll
out.
edit that. Yeah.
No, I'll have it out. And first game's at like noon, right, or 10?
Uh, 12. It's 11:30 for you Central
Okay.
Time. So
I'll have this video up by 10. I'll schedule it for 10
nice.
instead of noon,
That works out.
so a little bit earlier.
Um, BTR, one of our fan favorites, He went ahead and he caught himself a big dubski and then cried on national television. But hey, the dubski man, uh, I'm so happy to see him go out there. And how close are we looking for your bingo card of him attempting 100 passes? I wonder
I haven't even
because
touched the bingo cards in like 2, 3, 4 weeks. I haven't even looked at them.
we will have to get on that.
DTR throws at least 100 passes. He threw
Orion
Thompson or Robinson.
on the year, he has 80 attempts.
We're
It
getting there,
approaches.
baby.
So next up we have the Lions game. I'll jump to here, just because you're not watching on Sundays, you don't see the ebbs and flows of these games. Oh my God, we had like they we had forced a fumble, and besides that fumble, we turned the ball over 4 times, and that was the ratio up until the forced fumble into a kick safety, uh, right at the end of the game there.
The Bears just coached themselves into a loss. There's
Yeah,
no other way to put it. They should have won that game. I know you're a
there was
Lions
a
fan.
huge run. There was a huge run from Justin Fields, and he danced at the end of it, and I was like, I bet that's gonna haunt them. And then it does, because that was like
But
the last
none of it is
positive play they
Fields'
had.
fault. None of it is Fields'
Uh-uh.
fault. But yeah, they need
It
to move on
was.
from Flus and Getsy and everybody. You just clear house again.
It didn't even feel like it felt like in Madden, whenever you'll just have like the announcers like on repeat. I could just hear the announcers in my head, like, "Oh, and the record of teams that with a turnover differential losing the battle." I was like, "Oh God," and they didn't bring it up. So I was like, "Take it." With that win, the Lions have the best record they've had since JFK was alive and in office.
I saw a post that was a little
Jeez
bit more
Louise.
explicit than that. It said the last time the Lions were 8-2, JFK had a head.
The last time Marilyn Monroe was getting a train ran on her. Um,
God damn, man. Also,
the
shout out
broskies.
shout out Burger Island. Don't know what this game is, but it looks fun. So that's my selection for
Okay,
today.
yeah. Way to
Shout
be
out
wholesome right after my call.
shout out Burger Island, guys. Everybody in the comments, hashtag shout out Burger Island.
If you want to talk about Trevor Lawrence here, since
Yeah, I do like talking about
you
Trevor
left some,
Lawrence.
yeah.
I mean, the connection with Calvin Ridley right out of the gates at the beginning of the season, week 1 was good. He was hitting him. There were scores, there were catches, there were yards, all of the good things that you want out of a quarterback and receiver connection, right? And then Ridley just kind of fell off. And I saw that the only games that Calvin Ridley has really performed well in are the ones where Zay Jones is active. Because I think Zay Jones has missed a lot of games this season.
Mm-hmm.
Let me double check my math
I'm
on
not sure
that.
if missing a lot of games, but he's missed games. Yeah. Oh, a lot actually.
Okay, so he has missed all but 3 then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in the 3 games that he's played in this season, he or Calvin Ridley, sorry, has put up over 100 yards in each game. And outside of those games, Calvin Ridley has not had a 100-yard performance. So I don't know if there's some correlation of double covering Ridley when Zay Jones is not in the game or anything like that. But whatever it is, we actually saw it come to fruition and everything today or this past weekend, and it was nice to see them kind of get on track and the Jags come out with a win after their loss to the 49ers the week before. That was a tough loss. So the connection between those two is nice to see again.
Yep. On to Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey's had a incredible return.
I don't know if you saw the
Everyone
2
was.
picks.
I saw there was some athletic, like that was some pick artist
Those
on
were
Madden type picks.
those were better catches than I think I've seen a receiver make this year. Like,
Arguably, yeah,
yeah.
those were insane. I did you see the? I'm not sure if I sent it to you. The tweet of like the QBR allowed is 0.
Is 0. Yeah. I don't know if you sent it
Because
to me, but I
geez
did see it.
Louise.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Jalen Ramsey's back. He is not. I don't
Yeah.
know if I'll say he
It doesn't
hasn't
matter
lost
what
a
team
step,
he's on.
but he's
Hmm.
good. He is not washed. I think the Dolphins won that trade, even if they had to take on the brunt of his contract. Um,
I mean, yeah, what they have to even give up for him. It was like a
a fifth and a
seventh.
tight
It
end, I
was
think.
something. Yeah, it was something ridiculous.
And then I think that's all the big news on Sunday during the day.
Hmm.
And then on Sunday night, 3 plays into the game, 3 plays removed from a suspension, Kareem Jackson lowers the crown of his helmet into Josh Dobbs' face mask. No flag, nothing called. And both Elijah and I are both like, dude, what the hell? How did they not call anything about that? And we just didn't understand it.
And
And
the whole
then,
Broncos organization
oh my
comes
God,
out.
dude, everybody on that defense was doubling down like, oh, if we can't hit like that, how are we supposed to tackle? And it's like, don't lower the crown of your helmet. Don't just, you see this thing? Keep it up. You're good.
You know how like when you tackle, like the whole Pete Carroll kind of like school of defense, and it's like, oh, you have to wrap at the hip and twist, and then no, it literally Kareem's like, no, you just got to go torpedo. Yeah,
And
it's crazy, and the whole defense is like, yeah, that's how you play defense, bro.
it's like, no,
Pastor
because
Kane,
y'all haven't
come
been
on.
ejected for lowering your helmet and hitting people and
Yeah.
been suspended and been fined. Literally every single game he has played in, he has received a fine. Every single one of them this year. Every
I mean, at
game.
this point, let him play without
You're
like
making
they
money,
suspend
NFL.
him. Yeah, they suspend him without pay, but they're profiting off him playing in these games.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they let that appeal go through. Jeez, man, there's
Dude.
there's nothing on the tape that is like, oh yeah, this is okay.
Yeah,
Like,
and it okay. It would be I would have a different reaction if it was either a different player that did it. Like if it was a different player that lowered his helmet, I would be like, don't do that. But like it's not, I mean, hey, just don't do that. This is a guy who has a history of lowering his helmet and creating bad situations for offensive players and has been suspended and fined and like ejected multiple times. And the fact that he isn't done for the year is nuts to me because it's not even like he had a stretch of playing clean. His stretch of playing clean was 2 plays. There were 2 of them. And then the
yeah,
third play, he lowered his helmet. So
and who knows if he was even in the vicinity to attempt to tackle on those first two. If he was,
he
maybe he
probably
would
would
have
have lowered his
died.
helmet. The other thing, and I don't want to say it was a game-changing play, right? But that was the first drive of the game, and the Broncos scored 3 on that drive, and the Broncos ended up winning by 1 point. So, and oh,
Yeah.
and by the way, him lowering his helmet forced the fumble. So,
No, so you watch the clip, and I think it's Gregor. No, it's the other edge guy, Browning. Browning is stripping it. I just opened up our tweet to look at the clip itself. He the ball's out by the time he hits him in the face.
oh, okay.
But
But if they
like
call it,
the
though, is another thing.
yeah,
Then the fumble doesn't count, and then maybe the
fair enough.
Vikings
Yeah,
win the
flag
game.
might
But
negate it. Um, the uh to play the devil's advocate just for the not for him but for the Broncos organization. Um, Justin Simmons' tweet. I'll just read a quick quote from it. Dobbs on this play was playing running back. The tight end was under center, snapped the ball, and tossed it back to Dobbs, who isn't defenseless. On 3rd and 1, where you're fighting for every yard, how are we supposed to stop a runner from falling forward? I get the part of like, oh, he's falling down, and that's why I hit him in the face. But you're still would have just delivered a blow straight to the sternum.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the
Yeah.
situation. It's the helmet. It's the use of the helmet.
Yeah.
You stop them by lowering your shoulder. You put your shoulder into them, you
Hmm.
drive them backwards. That's how you tackle. And that's the tone deaf thing of all of the Broncos defense is like it was the situation. It wasn't like he just hit a
Uh-huh.
quarterback defense. It doesn't matter what position it is. You
Yeah.
could Josh Dobbs could be lined up at defensive end and go out there and take a hit from Kareem Jackson helmet forward, and it should still be a penalty.
Yeah.
So that's
No one cares that like he hit his helmet. Like the helmet is like the egregious part, but like it's the fact that his tackle form was like
Yeah,
he
launch
crosses his
himself.
arms in front of
He
himself,
did.
bro.
He put his helmet for first, and then yeah, just led with the helmet.
Yeah.
Um,
So luckily he's suspended again. So
but we'll see if he
we got
appeals and
that
it gets
going
dropped
for
to two
us.
games as well this time.
Yeah. Jesus.
I think
Ugh.
that's just about it for our speedrun segments. We did that pretty
Mm-hmm.
effectively. It was just a lot of
I would think
information
so,
to get
yeah.
through. And the last kind of bit of information to get through happened this morning. Matt Canada is no longer the offensive coordinator of the Steelers. So glad you clipped through
Good
that.
luck editing that.
Um,
Oh
so yeah,
no.
we are very excited to see a new offensive coordinator happen.
Yes.
And
Was it confirmed? I saw tweets of unconfirmed reports on who was going to be the new play caller. Let me
Antonio
see.
Brown, baby.
Oh man, yeah.
Bowman.
What was the? Oh, it was what was it? It was Matt Hitler. No, Adolf Canada.
Adolf Canada.
Adolf
Nate,
Canada.
uh, let me just pull up Antonio Brown's Twitter.
Oh,
Let's see.
don't. Uh, according
ABOC,
to
his most recent tweet. ABOC hashtag game time.
Mike Tomlin confirmed Eddie Faulkner is the new offensive coordinator.
Last time I checked,
While
it was
Mike Sullivan will call plays.
last time I checked, he actually still went by Antonio Brown. He hadn't changed his name yet, so maybe that's a new development. But I should not
I
be looking at
swear.
Antonio Brown's Twitter anymore.
Don't
I don't
even,
get it.
dude. It's rough. It's rough
It's
out
rough out there
there.
in those streets.
Uh, yeah, just kind of. I wonder how much Najee sounding off to the press kind of might have forced their hand there, because when the players are unhappy and then they start voicing that they're unhappy, it's kind of a real bad sign.
Yeah, it's
So
bad
I'm
for
sure that
business.
kind of, yeah, kind of forced that hand there. But looking forward to it. Everyone's been really dogging on Kenny Pickett and being like, we can't even blame Matt Canada for how bad this quarterback is. Now we actually get to see how bad this quarterback is, or if he's actually serviceable.
Or if their new offensive coordinator is worse than Matt Canada.
Ooh, yeah, they might be on a train downhill. Who knows?
If you want to, we can get into the hip drop tackles a little bit more. Throughout this weekend, we saw a lot of hip drop tackles, which is something that hasn't really been talked about like a ton in years past, but I feel like currently
Yeah,
it's getting
it's
a lot more attention.
last year like started getting murmured, kind of like
Yeah,
the kind of turf conversation kind of started up there, but yeah, not very much talking on that.
but basically it's when you grab and you drop your hips to the ground, so you force all of your body weight to be on whoever you're tackling, and normal football players can carry their body weight just fine, but as soon as you are fighting them to the ground with your entire body weight, it starts to have issues with leg injuries, lower leg injuries, and such, which is exactly what happened to
Hmm.
Mark Andrews. It's what happened to Jordan
Yeah,
Travis at FSU. I don't know if you saw that play at all.
I did
Um,
not know.
don't watch it. Uh,
Okay, I won't.
it's not as bad as Nick Chubb, but it's
Oh,
pretty
dude,
bad.
I
It's probably right
flashed
below
that
it.
image in my head.
Um, nothing like Kevin Ware, but you know,
Mm.
it's not good. Also, don't look up Kevin Ware.
No. One thing I want to point out in regards to hip drop is that majority of the time it's a tackle attempted from behind or from the side and they twist to be behind them. So when you're dropping all of your weight and you're going to be landing on the lower part of the leg, like that's just it'd be really interesting to see how they would implement that like ban if it would be 10 yard 15 like because how quickly are defenses going to get out of the habit of doing that? Clearly, Kareem Jackson can't get out of his habit after a 2 game suspension. So, are they going to start giving out suspensions for this? It's kind of like a method of tackling that's taught. So,
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how quick of a turnaround anything is expected to come from. But if you were to ask me what should get banned, this or the tush push, it's definitely this
yeah.
over the tush
My
push.
my only problem is that it's such a subjective thing where when you're tackling somebody, your goal is to get them to the ground. And if you're tackling
Yeah.
them, you're also going to be on the ground. So how do you call if it's, a hip drop or if it's just a normal tackle where they happen to be running into you as you tackle them? So you happen to go to
Mm.
like, I don't, that's
Like, is
the,
it going to be called a hip drop if you are dropping your hips behind them, or oh, you grabbed them at their waist and you dropped all your weight, like, but it
yeah.
did no harm because you just you take them to the side.
What I,
It's
what I would love to see, and it'll never happen, it'll never work. But what I would really like to see is the NFL just come out with a statement that says, like, we are reiterating to all defensive players that these hits are dangerous and they cause injuries and not to do them. And then those defensive players realize that those hits are dangerous and cause injuries and they like don't do them. But that'll never happen. If there's
yeah.
no fine or penalty or anything, they'll never stop. So
I imagine the easiest way to implement it is like just put the hammer down, kind of how they did. I want to say 2020 when there was the story of like the refs meeting and like the newsletter going out to all the clubs of like, hey, we're gonna double down on the roughing the passers, and then roughing the passers were flagged way too much. But like that's how you make a point is you're
yeah,
gonna have to do that for the next season where it's okay, it's gonna be a 15-yard penalty, and we're gonna fine you, and we're letting the refs know to keep an eye out for it, and that way it kind of gets trained out of defenses as fast as possible.
yeah. Uh, Moving on to the Monday night game, the Chiefs just cannot catch a break on offense. And
Yeah.
it's I mean, the Eagles played well, but they did not play like a team that was ready to beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs played like a team that was losing that game, if that makes sense. And I hate like praising the Chiefs so much because they get a lot of praise as is. But genuinely, when you have that many drops and you're still like inches away from winning that game, it's extremely impressive. And
Yeah.
there was just like, I mean, the MVS drop was the drop of the game, I
Oh,
feel
that
like.
was the that hurt.
And as soon as that happened, I texted our group chat. I was like, man, they should have paid Tyreek because he would have caught that. But he also tweeted out, catching in them bright lights is not as easy as it looks. And I can kind of agree with him. I've obviously never played on an NFL field, so I don't know the bright lights of an NFL field. But when I
Hmm.
used to go out to the fields at UTSA, there's like these bright ass lights that are just shine like stadium lights that shine down.
Hmm.
And I would have whoever was throwing to me line up so that when I looked back, I wouldn't be looking at a light. Because if I wasn't catching the ball. I
Yeah.
couldn't see anything. So I can kind of understand, but also you're an NFL player that knows the situation, so you should be ready for it. With that being said, no hate to MVS. It's an extremely difficult job, and it's something that he's dealt with in the past, and I don't want to pile on or anything.
Yeah, MVS. It was as I sent in the group chat. It's that MVS classic, um,
Yeah.
straight up the seam, wide open, and it's gonna be a drop.
Yep.
Um, the the defense for the Chiefs started off so high, and the Chiefs were running the ball all over them in the first half. Um, like 125 yards, I want to say, was the stat I saw for the first half rushing, and they ended with 168. So they did not keep up that momentum at all. Uh, they had 5 sacks in the first half, didn't have another sack for the rest of the game. In the first half, they allowed 5 completions, and that obviously didn't hold up. They just kind of crumbled in the second half because the defense wasn't getting every single stop and everything wasn't going perfect with every blitz they cooked up. And then the offense just punt, punt, fumble, punt, downs. Hopefully, next draft they target someone who can catch and isn't like a gadget wide receiver 2 to 3 type because that's all they have right now. MVS is maybe a wide receiver 2 on teams, maybe, and he's currently like their number one like guy for shots.
Yeah. Now we got
Makes me
some
want to take shots.
we got some roster news, roster updates, depth chart updates, and such. Zach Wilson has been benched, relegated to QB3. Tim Boyle will start for the Jets, backed up by
How
Trevor
many times is
Simeon.
that?
that he's
How
been
many times
benched.
is it now that Zach Wilson has been benched? It's got to be like 4 to 5 times. And
Too many for an NFL quarterback that's
yeah,
still on the same team. And then Desmond Ritter
real.
is has been promoted back to a starting role over Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
it's picking between dog food and cat food, but yeah,
hey,
sure, go with the
don't
dog food.
disrespect the like. I can't even remember the story that it was. He was like in school and then played the playoff game for the Commanders like 2 weeks later or something ridiculous. Um, just as a quick summary of his time as the starter, Taylor Heineke threw nearly 500 yards, just 2 yards short of that, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception through the 3 games with them. Uh, Now, if I had to pick between him and Desmond Ritter, it's kind of yeah, as you said, food to food. They're not. Neither of them are great, but hey, I mean, at this point in the season, they technically still have a shot at playoffs because their whole division sucks. So you got to go with the best
Yeah,
option.
yeah. And then kind of a confusing move at first, and then I started to kind of understand it. Uh, Shaq Leonard, Darius Shaquille Leonard. I don't know anymore. He was waived, as well as Daryl
For real.
Henderson. But both of them have their reasons. Obviously, we love Hendo here, and it's tough to see him get cut. But Kyron Williams coming back, you're gonna cut your lowest guy on the totem pole. And
Hmm.
Hendo had a touchdown last game, but it was from 1 yard out, and that was his only carry, I believe. Uh,
Yeah, he's their power back guy, and he actually got a lot more carries than I thought he had been getting. He hit like 50 in the 3 games I think he's been with
Damn,
them.
I know
But
that.
yeah, only averaged 2.5 yards a carry.
Yeah,
Definitely that like power back role.
and then back to the Shaq Leonard, Darius Leonard
Hmm.
situation. Um, just to clarify, he was Darius Leonard, then said he wanted to go by Shaquille Leonard. And then this morning I read his tweet about leaving the Colts, and his Twitter name is Darius Shaquille Leonard. So I don't, that's, that's where my confusion arises. So if I call him Darius, I'm sorry if he wants to go by Shaquille. Sincerest
Yep,
apologies,
this
Mr. Leonard.
is yeah,
But he got waived by the Colts, and immediately both of us were like, what the hell? All pro, Pro Bowl
yeah.
linebacker just getting waived? But apparently he hasn't really been the same since an injury, I think, last season. And he has a massive, massive cap hit if they keep him.
Hmm.
And so they can kind of avoid 15 plus $1 million a year, or I think closer to 20 for the next 3 years.
I have it pulled up right now. Um, so the next season, and this is still active. This is if he's not if someone claims him off of waivers, his contract is not voided.
Yeah, that's
They have
something I
to
did
pay
not
this.
know. And then I saw that. I saw all the stuff about this, and I was like, okay, that's cool. Interesting.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, cool, we can get him off of waivers, and I was like, actually,
Cannot afford him
uh,
off of waivers.
yeah, cannot afford, and he's not gonna like probably take a budget
He's not
or
going to restructure his
deal.
deal. Well,
Yeah.
depends on what he wants. If he wants to win now, that may be why they released him as well. Because it's not like the Colts are like super struggling for cash. Every team, every NFL team is struggling for cash. They're all low, but they don't
Hmm.
have a QB under contract. They did sign Jonathan Taylor, but they don't have any like massive receiver deals or anything that's like holding him down. So I feel like it may have been
Um,
also a difference of.
so his former contract had a 19.7 average salary, and next season he would have been earning 16 million. And so they are saving themselves so much money with this. And if someone is to claim him off of waivers, they owe him 6 million for this season to just not get claimed off of waivers at all, because no one's going to make that big of a commitment to a guy that hasn't played a snap on their team, and
Yeah,
he's just going to kind of go on by, and they will, unless it's like a garbage team that some reason just wants to like lock him up and not give
I
him the
don't see that
choice on if
happening
he wants to
though.
go there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like no one's in that position basically.
no.
Um,
It would
so
be nice to see
we'll
the
see
Bears offer him or
next week
something,
where he goes.
beef up that defense a little bit more.
Yeah,
But
it'll be fun seeing where he gets offers from, but no one's just gonna claim him.
yeah, and then the last little segment we got, a continuation of when we started last week that we will be continuing throughout the rest of this franchise tagged season. The best players by each jersey number, currently wearing the number, and best at this very moment. So somebody who has a history of being really good but is washed right now might not be as good to us as somebody who's starting to get hot right now but isn't quite at a really high level. Just a little clarification, and we're going 11 through 20. I don't know if I already mentioned that or not, but last episode we did 1 through 10, so now 11 through 20. Next episode's going to be 21 to 30, and so on. We can start it off with 11 if you would like to give me your couple of guys and then your overall choice.
Yep. So I think it's a pretty obvious couple of guys here with number 11. We have two really young players, really in top three conversation at their position, AJ Brown and Micah Parsons.
Both in the NFC East.
Yeah, both play each other twice a year. It's really close, but I think Micah's dominance is way more than AJ Brown's dominance.
My two are the same. It's AJ Brown, Micah Parsons. I'm leaning Micah as well. As much as I hate the Cowboys and as much as I love to hate the Cowboys, it's a dominance we don't see too often. And AJ Brown is very good. He is a very good receiver, but I think Micah is like bona fide superstar, game-changing edge rusher.
All right, moving on to number 12 with both of us picking Micah Parsons for 11. I have a very interesting handful of people. You know, this would be so much easier if Tom Brady was still in the league.
Yeah.
But
I've only got two guys actually. So I'm curious.
Okay. I got a handful of them just for shits and giggles, basically. Nico Collins.
He's on my list. He's on my short list.
Chris Olave.
That's the other one.
Darren Waller. And Mecole Hardman. Mecole Hardman, out of here. Darren.
Is he wearing 12 right now?
Yes.
For the Chiefs?
Actively.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The on and off again. Is he hurt? Is he not? Darren Waller? Probably. I mean, if he had maybe one more season that was like his, what was that, 2021?
Whatever his breakout, yeah, where he was just a superstar tight end in the league.
If he had one more season that was that level, then I would probably go with Darren. But without that, I think Chris Olave has made some incredible catches early on in his career. And let's be honest, he doesn't have the best quarterback.
I was going to say the comparison between Olave and Nico Collins is that Nico Collins was kind of looked at as a nobody until he got Stroud, and Olave has just consistently been solid with really shitty quarterback play. Shout out the quarterbacks for the Saints, but it's just really bad quarterback play, and he makes Jameis look good when he's throwing to him. So just just for that, I'm taking Olave.
Yep, agreed. You want to kick us off at 13 here?
Yeah. For 13, I've got some really interesting names. None of them really jump out as like the best player.
Stetson Bennett.
I've got, recently Keenan Allen has just been tearing shit up. And so that I'm kind of leaning towards him. But also Mike Evans is on pace for another 1,000+ yard season. He still has not had a season under 1,000 receiving yards ever. And that's impressive through all the different quarterbacks that he's gone through. And then honorable mention to Brock Purdy. Obviously, wonderful situation, and he's coming off of a perfect passer rating game, the first one since Joe Montana, I believe, for the 49ers. And so shout out to him, but I think I'm picking Keenan here.
Okay.
Unless I had a massive oversight.
No, I had a couple of names, again, just kind of that like fodder to liven up the place of Michael Thomas, reception leader record.
Yeah, like holder. 4 years ago, I think I would agree with you 100%. He's the best. But 2019, Michael Thomas is undefeated.
Christian Kirk.
Solid slot receiver.
Brock Purdy is kind of the closest competition for Mike Evans and Keenan Allen, as you said. Mm-hmm. And you went Keenan. I'm going to go Mike Evans because he's gotten that one extra year of like time in the league. And as you said, he's on pace to not lose his streak of 1,000 yards every season. While Keenan Allen's kind of had like those injury-prone years where he's in and out of that kind of range. So
And this is where I think
I
we have
think
some disagreements because I'm taking it face value player right now, and face value player right now I'm taking Keenan. So
fair, but also, I mean, okay, if you like right now with their year so far, like yeah, Keenan's doing better, but Keenan also has Justin Herbert and a semi like they're very I wouldn't say very pass heavy, but like they kind of pass it all over the field. Um, while they have Baker Mayfield passing to Mike Evans right now. So
yeah,
I feel like if I needed a touchdown on a drive and I could only pass to one of these guys and one of them was on my team, I would prefer it to be Mike Evans over Keenan Allen.
I would take Keenan over Mike Evans. So I guess that's where we disagree.
Yeah.
Uh, Moving on to 14, got three good receivers here. I think I know who you're going to be leaning towards with your biased Lions fan having ass. And
What?
the other two are Stephon Diggs and DK Metcalf. Obviously, Diggs has had some rough games as of late where he just hasn't been the main target, or he's been double teamed, or he's been triple teamed, or he's been having the entire team on him. And so Josh Allen has to throw to everybody else. And then DK is, I mean, I feel like he's a little bit more hyped up than the receiving talent gives him, but I like DK Metcalf. I've always liked him. So I think Amon Ra is, I think he's better. I think he's the best number 14, but it's close.
Um, so who did you select? Is
Amon
that
Ra.
your final? Okay. All right. Um, so with those same three options, because there's no competition outside of that. Um, right now, I mean, DK's had drop issues in the past, and he seems to always at least have a couple every year that are just like, oh God, why'd you like MVS level drops.
Mhm.
Amon Ra never drops anything, and Stephon Diggs torches people when he's doubled and is pretty electric. I that think just because I know I'm Lions, Amon Ra is like a cornerstone guy. Like you always have him to pass to, and he's always going to be open, and he's always going to catch it. And Stefan's kind of the same way, so I can't really like, it's like apples to oranges. But taking them right now, I would probably be ending up taking Amon Ra just because of my loyalty.
I
So
think
it's close, but it's going to be just fan favorite for me at that point.
the other thing is there's no secret that Amon Ra is the one in that offense. It's not like they're
Hmm.
hiding it. It's not like they're, oh, Josh Reynolds is actually our one. No, it's not Josh Reynolds. It's not JMO. It's Amon Ra, and he's still performing. And both of them have good quarterbacks. I know we have our disagreements about Josh Allen, but I don't think it's a stretch to say that he is a good quarterback in the
Good,
league.
yeah.
So I think they both have good quarterback play, and Diggs just isn't able to deal with being the one as well as Amon Ra is. And Diggs can. He has shown that he can. He just can't do it every single week, week in and week out, whereas Amon Ra
Mhm.
can. So
Yeah, Amon Ra just like eats people up out of the slot
yeah.
nonstop.
And then
And that it kind of comes down to that, like, okay, do you want that elite slot guy or do you want the great like outside guy who has his weeks on and off?
yeah.
So I'll take the consistent output from that one.
On to 15. When I first looked through this list, I missed one name and I was like, "Oh my god, is Josh Dobbs going to be the best number 15?" Yeah, no, it's the best player in the league. It's Mahomes. And
Yeah.
it's not particularly close, but shout out the Pastronaut, Josh Dobbs. We love him here.
Uh-huh. Honorable mention for me is Jalen Phillips, but no, not even
Also
coming
good,
close to
but just
Mahomie.
good, not great.
Yeah, just good. You can't compare. Uh, Jumping into number 16, I think we have some fan favorites here
Yeah.
from each of us. Uh,
Do we have a fan
I'm
favorite for
looking
me?
at uh, duh, come on, man. We have this talk weekly at this point. Jared Goff and Trevor Lawrence wear the same number.
Trevor Lawrence for 16. What the? I missed that.
Oh my God. The amount of
I
times I've told him this.
completely missed
The
that
love of
shit,
God.
dude. Oh my god! And he
Oh
was right
Lord.
above the other guy that I wrote down.
Yep. Right above Tyler Lockett, who was my third
Big
down
shout
as
out
well.
Tyler Lockett. But yeah, um, the issue comparing quarterbacks is so much of it has to do with the receiver talent, and the
System.
receiver
Yep.
talent is so judged based on how the quarterback plays that it's sometimes like just you can't tell. And then the other
Hmm.
thing is it has to do with the system and the offensive coordinator. And the Dolphins have Lions. There we go.
There you go.
Lions
Nice.
have an extremely good offensive coordinator, one that's getting, got head coach hype coming into this season and is
Yeah.
continuing to get that head coach hype. And so if Goff is just a system quarterback, which he very well may be, then I'd take Trevor Lawrence, who may also be a system quarterback and may not be performing as well. But yeah, I'm gonna lean into your Lions bias, and I'm gonna take Jared Goff here. I love Trevor Lawrence, I truly do, but numbers don't lie, and Goff year in and year out has been putting up some of the best numbers of any quarterbacks, and it's always part of those TikToks where you've got like four or like the three players stats that you're comparing,
And it's
and
hidden.
it's hidden, and you
Yeah.
pick Goff every single time, and it's like, yeah, that was against Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, and you're like, oh, okay, all right. Um, but yeah, I think he's surrounded with a really good team, but I think
Hmm.
Trevor Lawrence is as well. Maybe just a slightly worse offensive line for Lawrence, and I think they're a lot closer than people think.
I would say not slightly worse, just worse, because I think the the strength of the Lions offensive line is that they're not just a really good pass blocking O line, they're a really good pass and run blocking, which allows for the just like system nature of the offense where you can do whatever you want on any given down. I mean, hell, last week we were running for first on like 3rd and 7. So like that opens up Jared Goff to do whatever the hell he wants with that defense. And I'm also going to be going Jared Goff here just because we saw leaps from Trevor Lawrence, but he's still got that like interception knack. And I mean, Jared Goff last week he returned to some like 2017 form with his interceptions, but they were all off of tipped passes, and one of them was a uncalled PI. I don't know what the you know factors of calling PI is, but the safety ran into the route runner, and then the corner that was on the route runner picked it off. So a little weird gray zone there that they didn't call. But I'm gonna go with Jared Goff just because when he has picks, it's very much like what instead
Yeah,
of like, oh,
there he
crud
goes
again.
again.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not a Josh Allen pick for sure.
yeah. Speaking of Josh Allen, number
Uh huh.
17. I've got five names. This is like the star of
This
the
is
numbers
the
and the
number.
teams.
Yep.
Devontae Adams, Josh Allen, Terry McLaurin, Jalen Waddle, and Garrett Wilson. And I feel like those last three names are kind of a tier below the first two, but we just haven't seen Terry McLaurin with a competent quarterback yet. And Sam Howell, sure, leading the league in yards, whatever. But you cannot convince me
Hmm.
that Terry McLaurin would be doing worse with a better with like a different quarterback. He would be doing better,
Yeah.
if not the same. So,
It feels like
uh,
we say that for Terry McLaurin every year. It
but it's
just
just because the Commanders
sucks.
can't get a good quarterback to save
Yeah,
their damn
they just
lives.
can't.
Um, and then Jalen Waddle is good to play second fiddle to Tyreek Hill, but I don't think he would be able to play the one in an offense. And that's not a bad thing. Being able to play the two is a very valuable role that not everybody can do. But I think just with like the Devontae factor of him also wearing 17, it's kind of hard to say that Waddle's better than him.
Hmm.
Same goes for Garrett Wilson, where Aaron Rodgers said that he's the most talented receiver he's ever thrown to. He's not. Devontae Adams is better. And Josh Allen, I'm I hate to say it, I'm getting on the Josh Allen hate train a little bit lately. I don't like how careless he is with the ball, and I'm picking Devontae here. And yeah,
Just for some fun irony, Uh, Kendall has been coming around on the Josh Allen hate because he always looks sad after he throws picks. He's getting the pity vote out of her. She's starting to rethink that, but
I'm I'm not I don't hate Josh Allen.
no.
I think I'm coming down from him being like one of the top 3 guys. I think he's
Hmm.
good and I think he will be good for the rest of his career, but I think he's going to be a Brett Favre where it's an issue and it will continue to be an issue and it's the reason they lose games. And he can all the problem though, he can very well any given week be the reason they win. And that's what keeps him in that top conversation is that he is that game changer for better or worse. So,
Yeah, we will see how he does the rest of this season, and then next season when I'm sure they'll get an
new OC.
bona fide off OC. But yeah, he did great under Dable, and he kind of Dable just kind of made the bad less often with the play calls. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that kind of adjusts with time. But I had the same kind of group. I just wanted to throw in as a little nod to Puka Nakua.
Shout out. But
Yeah,
no,
shout
I'm
out to
taking Devontae.
Puka.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm just like as an honorable mention
No,
of the
yeah,
group
I
already.
know.
Uh, Garrett Wilson, Puka Nakua are like the bottommost rung for me, and then it would be Terry, and then Jalen. Just because like Terry has so much talent, but it's like we never get to see it. We
Yeah.
always get to see like twice a year he makes insane catches on uncatchable balls, and that's like the best part of his seasons, and it just kind of sucks. But
The
again, it's top 2 are Josh Allen and Devontae, and I'm gonna go Devontae on that one.
the other thing I want to give to Terry, or the reason I think I like Terry a little bit more than Jalen Waddle, is Waddle was like a top pick. Like he was
Fair.
6, right? He was top 10 for sure.
6 or 7, yeah.
And Terry McLaurin was a mid third rounder. So
For he's
shout
got that
out.
dog in him.
He does have that dog in him indeed. 18, I have one name written down,
Mm-hmm.
and that is Justin Jefferson. It's similar to the 15, where there's
Yep.
not really anybody touching that.
Yeah. One of the
And
best, and you can't really argue against it.
yeah, and then on to 19. I think we can skip over any conversation on 18. There's no real
Yeah.
competitors.
No need to argue nothing there.
On to 19. I've got 2 names down,
Mm-hmm.
and they're very
It's so
odd
weird.
names to put them together and compare them.
Uh-huh.
And I'm assuming it's the same 2, and it's Debo and Adam Thielen.
Yup.
And Adam Thielen is not a name that I thought I would be comparing to Debo Samuel at any point
Yeah.
in either of their careers. But here we are. Adam Thielen is the one on the Panthers, and he is performing as such. Debo transforms the 49ers offense, though. I kind of backed off of saying that a couple weeks ago when he was injured and the 49ers were struggling. I'm going to double down on that, actually, instead of backing off. I think that him coming back really does change their offense. Like, it
Yeah. I
absolutely
mean,
does.
he just had Brock Purdy just played perfect. Like,
And he didn't throw to Debo that often. But that kind of reinforces that when Debo was out, Brock was not playing like this, and Debo
mm-mm.
was not the main focus in this past game. But he took the eyes off of Ayuk, he took the eyes off of Kittle, he took the eyes off of CMC coming out of the backfield because he was coming out of the backfield. And then on running plays, he also was a threat coming out of the backfield. So that versatility kind of leans me towards Debo.
Yeah. With mine, I had Thielen and I had Jake Bobo.
I saw Jake Bobo and I was like, ooh, we could do something real fun here. But no, I'm not
Unfortunately,
taking
there's too
him.
much at that number. Yeah.
Yeah,
um,
he's fun. Jake Bobo is a very fun player, but he's DK's age and a rookie.
Jesus, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Um,
or I
tough.
think DK's 1 year older than him because
Came out like a tendon hooker, my
Jake
guy.
Bobo is 25
Hmm.
and DK is 20. Yeah, they're the same age.
I
Jake,
think like Thielen and Debo really just comes down to, do you want a wide receiver 1 or do you want a like um
really
what's the
good
word?
slot
A
guy.
Swiss Army knife. Like
Well,
if you're
yeah,
not running Kyle Shanahan's scheme, do you want Debo over Adam Thielen? is kind of like the question being because
I think
yeah,
the
the scheme
problem
works
though,
through him,
the problem though
but
is we haven't seen him outside of Shanahan's scheme,
mm-hmm,
so we don't know if I think he could be a one in an offense if that's the role they needed him to play, and that's just on
because
like the plays I've seen him make in as a receiver, like not even coming out of the backfield or anything, just as a receiver, he has made some absurd catches and runs and everything.
yeah, just kind of opening up that like avenue of conversation because I think like so they use Ayuk, and if Debo's hurt, they don't use Ayuk as they use Debo.
Yeah,
But I think that if they didn't want to do any of the like Debo stuff, then he could do everything that they have Ayuk do. Like when Ayuk has his massive games, that could be Debo if they just decided to go that way.
yeah,
Um, it's really not like a oh well he can't so like they don't avoid it because he can't. They just avoid it because it's not their system. It's not how they go through their offense. Um, and I think that like I mean he picks up yards on the ground or through the air, and I would prefer the Swiss Army knife kind of slot specialist specialist um, over Adam Thielen being the one. And granted, everyone's talking mad trash on Bryce Young. So Adam Thielen's doing a lot with a little, if the trash is to be believed. But Debo also hasn't had the most stellar athletic quarterbacks, and Purdy's like the best that he's had. So I think Debo is you can compare them. It's not like a weird situation where it's like,
yeah,
oh well, these two guys are in uncomparable positions.
yeah. It's not
You
comparing an
can
offensive
compare
player
them.
to a defensive player, but it's just that the play styles are
Yeah,
so varying
yeah.
between them.
So I'm gonna take Debo just because if I were to be making a scheme, I'd rather have a Swiss Army knife than a wide receiver one who can be a wide receiver one.
Yeah. Moving on to 20, there's three guys here that I think are kind of in the same tier, and there wasn't like a
It's a
jumping
low tier.
ahead guy, but it's Brees Hall, Justin Reed, and Tony Pollard. And I think a year ago with Zeke on the team, Tony Pollard by a mile, and it's not close. But now that we've kind of seen Tony in an offense that is scoring a lot of points and getting a lot of yards, and he is not, kind of makes you think about whether he's actually that good or not, or if it's just the ability of a running back with fresh legs to come in and perform. So I'm kind of leaning Brees Hall here, but a shout out to Justin Reed as well. Great kicker, great safety, and yeah, fun guy.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'd actually be leaning Justin Reed here, not just because he was on the Chiefs, because honestly I liked him more when he wasn't on the Chiefs. When he was a Texan, I felt like he had better production. Um, but I mean that's not to say he's been bad at all with the Chiefs. It's just apples to oranges kind of thing going on. I mean he does have a field goal kick or an extra point kick, so that's pretty fun. Uh, but yeah, with the conversation of Pollard and Brees Hall, I think just because of like time played, like familiarity with the player, I would have to give it to Pollard over Hall, just because of that like injury proneness. But I'm gonna just take the running backs out of the equation, and I'm gonna go Justin Reed here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna still take Brees. I think that when he's on the field and when he is not the only threat in an offense, he does a little bit better because the Jets have just kind of been one dimensional, and
Now
he's
tell
still
me,
been
when have
okay.
we seen him not be the only threat?
Week one, when the other team was planning for Aaron Rodgers and he had that one carry for
Mhm.
80 yards. Anywho, um, yeah, I'm still gonna take Brees. I'm a Brees Hall fan. Also, back to 14, there were two names that I didn't mention that I probably should have, and that is Chris Godwin. Shout out. Not
Fair.
gonna touch the
My God.
argument, but shout out. And then
Mhm.
Kyle Hamilton also wears number 14, and he's been very good this
True.
season. He was hyped up in the pre-draft process, and then
Real high. Yeah.
wasn't all that. But this season, he's been showing why he was hyped up. He's showing that
Yeah.
instinct of a safety. So just quick shout outs there. But Yeah. I think
Yeah,
we
he
can
kind
get
of showed that he still had stuff to learn as a rookie, and
yeah.
then he learned. So
I think we can get a full team out of these guys. I think that we can end up making a lineup out of 100 picks. So that'll be
we
fun to do
should
at the
be.
end of
I mean,
this.
mhm.
I'm just worried about getting enough safeties because I've only got one right now.
Yeah. See that? I mean, hey, I thought ahead. I got just read. I
That's the
think
only. That's
that
literally the only reason I was considering not taking a running back was I was like, hmm,
I need depth for my team here. Do I want to
I
take
need a second
Brees Hall to
safety.
be my backup? Yeah. I think we should stick to not thinking about that and just let
Probably
that fall
not.
how it goes.
Yeah. I think that's gonna just about do it for all the news and topics and updates and everything. We do have some stocks to watch and some things to do with that. Just some quick updates. Titans lost, so I lost a little bit of money there. Cardinals lost, but because of their sheer amount of losses, adding one more actually didn't affect their price at all. It stayed at 200. So if they're 2-8, their percentage is at 20% even. At 2-9, their win percentage is 18.18, which bumps them up to the $200 mark. So with the way we round, they have kept their
Mhm.
same value. Titans lost a little, Dolphins gained a little. They did take a win this week. And I thought about selling the Titans, really considered it. And I saw that they play the Panthers this week. And I was like, maybe don't want to be selling them when they're playing the Panthers. And then they play the Colts next week at home, and that's a divisional matchup. So it's two games that are very winnable in a row for them. So I don't think I'm going to get rid of them. Dolphins, and then Cardinals, as tempting as it is, I just like their prospect for the rest of the season of how they can be. So I'm going to be holding on to all my stocks this week.
Sounds good. I have a team that just got a dub, and this coming week they will be facing off against the Jaguars. And then, if that wasn't bad enough, the next week they would be facing the Broncos, who are heating up. I mean, they hit 500. That's more than either of us thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be cashing out on the Texans here. Uh, CJ Stroud threw 3 picks, and they still managed to squeak out that victory. But that sell goes ahead and gives me $600 in my bank. And now I get to peruse my little fingers entering Black Friday
Now,
with what I can get here.
my question for you,
And
right, real quick, are you going to be holding
mhm,
the Bengals stock?
it's really, really difficult because
The
do
Burrowless
you recall
Bengals.
how much I spent on them?
I
Because
don't.
I
Do
kind
you?
of want them to just. I think I spent. Um, let's see. If I go into their chart here, um, I'm pretty sure I bought them when they're around through 400, so I could be making a slight profit on that.
I don't think you've had them
That
for that
hundred
long, though, have
bucks.
you?
I feel like I have, yeah.
Maybe.
I
Maybe
feel
I'm
like I
tripping.
bought
No,
them
because I
early
sold
when they
mine
were
early.
losing
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, Burrow's leg
Yeah.
hurts
True.
and
True.
he's going to
True.
be coming back to form.
Yeah. You
But
could sell them for a little
you
profit
know,
right now, then, and I mean,
I could.
it all depends on how much you believe in the rest of their team holding up against the rest of their schedule.
Yeah, because coming up they will face the Steelers and then the Jaguars. And I mean, do I want to risk the loss versus the loss or gain here? I think I might just take that 500 and add that up to my total as well. So I will be sitting at $1,100 in the bank, selling my one Bengals and my one Texans. But I will be keeping my two Titans and my three Cardinals. And so now, with all of that in the bank, we are going shopping. And who here do I believe in? Patriots. No.
Not a
Hmm.
chance, bud.
Yep.
Just some notable ones for me while you're perusing, just some stocks to
Mhm.
watch, if it were. The Seahawks currently cost $600. I think that their ceiling is a little bit higher than that, but it just depends on if you've got the money to invest in them. And I mean, obviously, fake money, guys. Come on. But if you've got the desire to throw some of this fake money at a team where they may win a few more, they may not. And then the Steelers with a new offensive coordinator, it's a gamble to take, but
Mm-hmm.
right now they're sitting at 6-4, coming off of a loss. They're at 600. It's a tempting one. The Packers also coming into form a little bit. Jordan Love is not looking terrible. His stats are almost identical to Jalen Hurts on the season, and that's with the Packers' weapons, where Hurts has the Eagles' weapons, and so that's something cool to look out for. And then I think that's about it. I mean, the
See,
Bears are pretty cheap, and
my
Justin
my
Fields
quote
is back.
unquote, yeah, it would be the Bears. That would be one to watch. The Cardinals, I mean, I could pile up on some more of their stock here, um, and I think I might just do that. With 1,100 in the bank, I might grab at least one more, just because I'm buying it at 200. You know, that's already twice as much as I spent on the other ones for my average cost. But
Mhm.
uh, I think I'll be adding one more there to bring my total in the bank down to 900, and then the total value of the Cardinals for me to 800. Um, and I honestly think that with the coming matchups and um, how Justin Fields played, I really hope that you do more of that, because we could probably talk more at length to this just because we were talking so much about Justin Fields prior to his injury. Um, when he's back and against the Lions, they started off immediately, run the ball with Justin Fields, make it known that he's going to be a threat. So that way we can open up other lanes and avenues for the offense. So I think if they stick to something like that, where they can actually show that Justin Fields will be an option for them instead of we're going to box him in, make him play like a pocket passer. That's idiotic. Don't do that. You didn't draft him for that.
Mhm.
Um, I'm going to be buying two of the Bears stocks here,
I
just
was
because, not because of matchups, but because of the flashes of Justin Fields that was seen.
I was
So
gonna say
with two, good.
they've got a bit of a tough schedule upcoming. They're facing the
Mm-hmm.
Vikings this week, which is kind of in my eyes a toss up.
Yeah,
If the coaching staff of the Bears gets their head out of their ass and coaches correctly for the game, then the Bears will win that one. But at the same time, the Vikings are a good team, and they're coming off a tough loss, so they may be fighting for that interdivision win.
yeah,
And then
it's divisional, and that's going to be the
that's the
real
thing is you
close
you never
matchup
know with
part of
those.
it. Yeah.
Then they have a bye week. Then coming out of the bye, they play the Lions again.
Mm-hmm.
Then they play the Browns, a tough defensive matchup. And then they play the Cardinals, which is winnable,
Yeah.
and the Falcons, which is winnable. And then week 18, they play the Packers. So they play three winnable games to end out the season.
Packers
But
are winnable too. I'm not going to toot the
that's what I'm
horn or no
saying.
Packers.
That's what I
Uh-huh.
said. It's three winnable games. I think the Browns is a less winnable game
Toss
than the
that.
Packers.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, yeah, the Browns, the defense is really good, but it
mhm.
really figures if they can manage to put up more than 13 points in a game
Yeah,
from
and
here to there.
it's kind of those the next few matchups for them are just kind of like can they, can't they, will they, won't they? But I personally, even if I had the money, I think I would hold off for the next like 3 weeks just through their next Lions game because I don't see them beating the Lions. I know
I mean,
they've
I
been
didn't see
strong
them
against
beating
them
the
in the
Lions until
past.
this week.
They've been strong against them in the past, don't get me wrong, and that's at home in Chicago. But I just think it's a matter of coaching and
Mhm.
Flus and what's his name, Getzey. They're not going to be able to outcoach Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson. So I just don't see him
Yeah,
winning.
I don't have them winning that game, but I mean, with their with their price point, if they can just squeak out a couple, it'll I think I could see a slight improve by the end of the year and have that money just rolling into next season's. And that's kind of what I'm planning for. Is you're beating me so much at this point, and there's no real big gambles to make left, that I'm kind of just trying to like shore up the money for next season.
Yeah.
I hope the Dolphins lose and I start seeing that money drop.
Yeah, it's tough because the Dolphins are really freaking good, but it's just any given week, man. That's all it is. And I think they're good enough to win out, but I just don't know if they will. They play just upcoming for the Dolphins. They play the Jets, the Commanders, the Titans, uh, then the Jets again, and then the Cowboys. That's going to be a tough one. Ravens, another tough one, and Bills. So they end out the season with three kind of tough matchups, but for now they're looking pretty good. I think I'll consider moving off of them before their big tough matchups to end out the year. But we'll see. That's a conversation for a later date. That's going to be just about it for the stocks. We will move on to the pick'ems. I'm going to do a little bit of rapid fire this week as we are running short on time. Thursday morning, right after this video is uploaded, on Thanksgiving, we'll have the Lions play the Packers. I've got the Lions taking that one at home. Cowboys at home against the Commanders Then I've got the 49ers over the Seahawks on the road, divisional matchup, good teams, could go either way. Dolphins at Jets, I've got Dolphins. Saints at Falcons, I'll take the Falcons at home. It's a shit show. It's a toss-up. I don't know who the hell's going to get their head out of their ass the fastest. And then Steelers at Bengals. A Burrowless Bengals against a reinvigorated Steelers offense with no Matt Nagy. I'm taking the Steelers in that one.
Matt Nagy? Wrong Matt.
Essentially the same person.
You meant Adolf, my guy.
I meant Matt Hitler. But essentially the same person, right? More or less. Jags at Texans, I'll take the Jags. Bucks at Colts, I'll take Bucks at Colts, I'll take Bucks. Sorry. Patriots at Giants, I'm never betting on the Patriots again. So I'll take the Giants in that one. I'll take the Titans over the Panthers at home. I'll take the Cardinals over the Rams at home. I'll take the Broncos over the Browns at home. Chiefs over the Raiders in Vegas. I'll take the Eagles over the Bills in Philly. The Ravens over the Chargers in LA. And the Vikings over the Bears in Minnesota.
So, we actually have some variety between ourselves here.
That's dangerous.
That's dangerous.
Very dangerous.
I am changing one because I thought about it slightly harder. So I have for the Thanksgiving matchups, I have the Lions coming away, the Cowboys coming away, the Niners coming away. And starting off the Sunday slate, I have the Black Friday game. So starting off the Black Friday game, I have the Dolphins beating the Jets because, oh God, Tim Boyle. I have the Falcons beating the Saints at home, the Steelers beating this isn't the difference part, all right? We're getting there. I got the Jags beating the Texans. I kind of foretold that with my stock selection. And then I have the Colts beating the Bucks because reasons. I just don't.
It's another one of those
don't give that
games.
winning vibe. Yeah, they don't give that winning vibe. I
feel like every time they don't,
though.
I feel like every time the Bucks don't give that winning vibe, they pull it out. So
somehow, yeah, they didn't give that vibe to start, and then they went undefeated. And then
I think the Patriots want to lose this one because they're playing against a team that is competing for that top pick. So if they can lose to the Giants, they can solidify a top 3 selection, and then get their.
We might see a D tackle play quarterback for the Patriots, though. So they might actually have some success.
Christian Barmore can throw. All right, put some respect on his name. Actually,
I told everyone to be ready. I think Bill just likes to embarrass young quarterbacks. So I'm thinking Tommy DeVito might struggle there. I have the Titans beating the Panthers. I really, really want the Panthers to win one of these, but you just can't ever pick them. I got the Rams beating the Cardinals. I have the Broncos beating the Browns. And then I have the Chiefs beating the Bills. Can't play good against good teams this season.
Froze after the Rams beating the Cardinals, or froze after the Broncos beating the Browns.
Okay. I got the Broncos beating the Browns. I have the Chiefs beating the Raiders. I have the Eagles beating the Bills, and I originally had the Bills, but then I realized that they just lose to good teams this year. Ravens over the Chargers, and then I have the Bears over the Vikings because, as I foretold with my stocks, I think that they showed a lot more competency, and if they just show a little bit of that competency and consistency with Justin Fields for once in their lives, they might actually show that he is a quarterback for them starting.
Yeah, you know what? I'm changing it. I like the Bears over the Vikings as well, but that's the only one I'm changing. And then for our locks,
Mm-hmm.
I am stealing your team from you because I have still not locked them this entire season. So I'm keeping
No
up
way,
that
you
streak. I
haven't?
never locked the
Oh
Lions.
my god,
So I'm gonna go
that's
ahead and lock the Lions this
crazy.
week. Yeah, I went through and I was like, okay, these 10 teams I can't pick out of the 32 playing.
Yeah,
Um,
11, but yeah.
Shut up. And and so I'm picking the Lions as my lock over the Packers on Thanksgiving in the morning. They'll go home to their families in Detroit, through downtown, through the gunfire, and have turkey with their families
Jeez, bro.
right after that win, and they'll be happy, all of them. And the Packers will fly back to Wisconsin and suffer through bad weather all the way there after losing
Mm-hmm.
in Detroit
Turbulence.
on Thanksgiving. And then they will go home to their
Cry.
families where they will be unhappy and they will be late to the Thanksgiving dinner and everything will go poorly. And that's how things are going to play out on Thanksgiving.
Alrighty. I am perusing the teams
I
I
thought
haven't
I would have
locked.
stalled for long enough for you to,
No,
pick a
no.
lock.
I've gone through a handful, but I keep finding that all the good teams I've picked as locks before. Shocker.
Are you breaking our
Um,
streak?
I don't want to be the one to break the streak.
One
Well,
of us has to. It'll probably be me next week if it's not you this week. So,
yeah. So if I mean, hey, with that admission of defeat, I might as well be putting a lock on a really crazy matchup.
have you locked the Rams yet?
Uh, I have not, and that's the one I'm considering.
We disagree on it, but it's definitely like the most lockable. Unless you haven't locked the Titans, then you could lock Titans over
Well, see,
Panthers.
Cooper Cup's out, and that's like, are we going to see the Puka Nakua return game, or is
Yeah.
it just going to be a collapse again?
You haven't locked the
Um,
Titans yet, have you?
I have not, and that is against the bottom of the barrel team, but it's also Titans. I mean, not the Bears.
But
um,
it's Derrick Henry, and when Derrick Henry decides to go off, he goes off. So if he wants to run all over that Panthers defense, I think he will.
okay, all right. Flip a coin.
Heads
Heads
is
is going to
Titans.
be the
Heads
top.
is
Yep,
Titans.
and it's heads. So Titans is my lock for the week instead of the
Woo!
Rams. That might come back to bite me hardcore. I feel it already in my bones, but
That the
I'm gonna
Panthers are
stick
going to
with
beat the
that.
Titans. Ah, I feel it
Mm-hmm.
too. Hopefully they
Good for
do.
Bryce Young. He's gonna pass for 4 touchdowns, 500 yards.
He's going to beat the bust allegations.
For real.
That's it for Pick'ems.
Pause.
That's it for Pick'ems. That's it for this episode.
Mhm.
You got any words for the people to live or lead their lives by?
um, Green energy drinks.
I've heard
Um,
they're pretty good. Still haven't had any.
Try them. This is the rainbow sherbet. Cherry limeade was a surprise banger. It was only a surprise banger because I didn't know I was drinking cherry limeade. Obviously, cherry limeade is a very, very fantastic one. Uh,
This
and I'm
episode
not
is
gonna
not
promote this one.
sponsored at all.
Not gonna. I'm not sponsored at all.
Rain,
Sponsor?
hit us up.
Rain? Hold up.
Rain sponsoring the franchise tagged podcast.
Something like that. I mean, they should.
They should. Anybody should
They
reach
should.
out with sponsorships.
Yep.
We'll
Reach out.
promote your brands. Promise.
Yeah. As long as you're not scamming me, we can scam the people that watch. And with that,
Bye guys. Have fun on this Thanksgiving on
uh-huh.
this big slate of games,
Enjoy
big
Turkey
weekend of
Day.
games. Y'all take it easy.